Hi, welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Right, I've got a speed puzzling practice video for you today. It's the first I've done in quite a long time. I've not been doing a great deal of speed puzzling practice, probably partly because I am not going to Worlds this year, but I do need to get more speed puzzling in because I do have speed puzzling going on. And actually I have a competition. I have an online speed puzzling competition that I'm participating in, the very first one I've done. And so the puzzle was sent to me, it's been sent to me already. This is it in this package. I'm not allowed to open it yet, so I can't show you what it is because we're not supposed to see it until the day the speed puzzling competition happens. This is a speed puzzling competition that is being run by the UK Jigsaw Puzzle Association. If you're from the UK, or even if you're not from the UK, but you think you might like to participate in some speed puzzling over here, they are working really hard to try and get more of that going over here in the UK. We don't have a massive speed puzzling scene over here. And so the Annika, from who I met at Worlds, she chatted to me and a group of other UK participants that were at Worlds, and she was really keen to get something started. So she started the UK Jigsaw Puzzle Association. They have a Facebook page and they have an Instagram, and I want to support them as much as I can because I would love to see more speed puzzling going on over here as well. So this is hosted by them, this online competition. The money raised from it is going to charity. It's going to the Longfield Community Hospice, so that is doubly great because it's supporting a charity as well. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to participate in this competition. I think it's going to be really good fun, interesting experiment. As I said, never done an online speed puzzling competition before. I believe it's all happening over Zoom. And as I say, we've all got the puzzle now. And I know it's 500-piece Ravensburger. That's literally all I know. But none of us have seen it, or at least those of us who haven't opened the package yet. I assume nobody will have opened the package. And this is mine, still packaged, as you can see. So I can't show it to you, I'm afraid, but this is the reason I'm doing all of this speed puzzling today. And when I say all of this speed puzzling, I mean these three puzzles here. Now, I have been buying some 500-piece Ravensburgers to practice on, and these are the ones I want to practice today. Now, this one at the top actually was sent to me from Alfonso in Spain. It's one that's been sitting on my shelf to do for a little while, so I thought I would practice this one. This isn't one I bought recently. This is the Summer Thunderstorm puzzle, and it's one that they did at Worlds last year. I think it was Group F that did this. It's a panorama and it's a nature edition. So it was a little bit of a curveball that came out, this one. Don't think anybody expected to see a panorama, and I was just interested to see what my time would have been on this one. I haven't actually tried it yet though, so I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to have a go at speedrunning this in this video. So I'm going to practice on this one. And these two that I'm going to practice on are ones I have purchased recently, very recently. I got them about a week ago. I've got actually three others as well to practice on, but I'm not going to do all of them today. So the one I am going to do today is this one. It's a puzzle called Zebras at the Waterhole. I tried to pick different types of image. So as I say, I've got a nature edition here. This is a nature scene, I guess, as well. It's not a nature edition puzzle, but we've got some animals, we've got some sky, we've got some trees, we've got some water, a little bit of everything going on here. And obviously the main thing that dominates are these zebra. Not sure how these stripes are going to be, whether they're going to be tricky or not. We've also got some meerkats down here and lovely blue water. There's a reflection of the zebra in the water, and the sky is like a sunset sky, so there's kind of lots of orange hues and things going on in here. So we'll see how that one goes. And then the other one I'm going to speedrun for you today is this one. It's called Evening in Paris. And I picked this one because I thought it might be within the same series as the Evening in Pisa puzzle, which was the Group D puzzle for last year's Worlds. And I thought, well, you know, they have repeated puzzles from the same series at Worlds in the past. So it might be one that we see again. Even though I'm not going to Worlds, I would love to keep trying to guess, you know, which ones might come up and stuff. And it'd be cool if I can have done some of the puzzles that do come up. It's evening in Paris, so it's dominated by the Eiffel Tower, which is in front of a beautiful, lovely, again, sunset sky. The clouds are all these pinky oranges. You've got kind of pink, oranges and yellows at the bottom, and then there's this vivid blue in the background. Got some birds, got some trees. So I think there's plenty to go at in this image. You've got the Eiffel Tower, obviously, and then in the foreground you've got a bridge and some water, flowers, there's a bike, and some paintings on easels just over here. So I think this is going to be a really fun one to do. So those are the puzzles I'm practicing today, just the 3. And I will do time lapses for you of me doing these puzzles, and I'll try and explain as best I can the methods I've used. I want to try and practice some different methods to get me out of my comfort zone a bit and see if I can practice other methods to get faster at those, you know, and maybe see if they are more effective than my sorting method, which is what I tend to exclusively use now. But I don't want to kind of stagnate. I want to keep trying new things and see if I can improve my times. So I will be using different methods and we'll see how I get on. I hope you enjoy. So my time for that puzzle was 1 hour, 18 minutes and 18 seconds, and quite honestly, I was pleased with that time. When I first attempted the Pisa puzzle, I sorted the puzzle and I did it in 1 hour, 30 minutes and 55 seconds. And so I was a little nervous about this puzzle with it being a similar kind of theme. So 1 hour and 18 minutes was actually a surprise for me, and I'm really happy with it, especially having done it using the full flip method. Now, let me just explain a little why I used the full flip method, given that I am so used to sorting puzzles when I speed puzzle. I'm more comfortable with sorting and I've had some of my best times with sorting, whereas full flipping usually stresses me out and it just feels a bit too chaotic for me. So a short while ago, I actually built the puzzle Lupines, which was one of the puzzles in the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships last year. It was from Group A of the individuals, and it's the one that Donna Louise built. I was nervous about it because I knew it was going to be a difficult puzzle. It was one of the tougher ones from the individual rounds, and a lot of people didn't finish it. But I was keen to try different things because I'd sort of reached a peak with sorting at around about the hour mark. I still haven't broken the hour barrier yet, and so I wanted to maybe give different methods another try and see if there are things I could adjust to make them work for me and maybe get some more improved times. So I decided with the Lupines puzzle to full flip it. So I asked myself, what is it about the full flip method that I find so difficult? Well, the biggest problem was that I had a tendency to be in my own way. I'd flip the pieces, they'd all be spread out, and I would have no room to actually puzzle. And then I would spend the rest of the time just kind of manoeuvring pieces out of the way and around the board. And it just felt like a waste of time. So a simple answer to that was to flip the pieces, but as I was flipping, place them up at the top of the board and give myself a space nearer to the bottom, kind of in the middle, where I could actually start to put sections of the puzzle together. So I used the full flip method with Lupines, and I actually found that that puzzle was quite conducive to that method because there were some really contrasting sections. You had the pink bright sky contrasted against the dark grass at the bottom, and so when I'm looking at all those pieces laid out, they jump out at me. The sky pieces just jump out at me. They're really easy to spot. So I was able to just grab, and I was unlikely to miss any because they were so contrasted against all the other darker pieces. It went well, and the horizon pieces were just as easy to spot as well, so I managed to grab those out pretty quickly and put those together. I did slow down on the darker parts, but that was to be expected. But I had less pieces then as well. So some shape sorting was simple enough to do at that point until the puzzle was done. And I managed that puzzle in 1 hour and 26 minutes and 44 seconds, which for a Nature Edition difficult puzzle, I was really quite pleased with. I would have qualified with that time if I'd have done it at Worlds, and I'd have been 30th in that group. So I was really pleased with that. So this really encouraged me to do it again, and that is what I did with this Paris puzzle. Largely, I think it was a solid method to use. The sky pieces again popped out. They were easy to find, as were the water pieces. I think that my mistake in this puzzle was doing the edges first. I had the space to build some straight lines of the edges, but it turns out that I hadn't actually picked out every edge piece. In the flipping, I had missed one, at least one, and so there was a little bit of me wasting time looking in the edge pieces for a piece that just wasn't there, instead of just being able to just move on. Also, as a section of the puzzle to build, the edge, even though it's thin, it takes up space because you end up with, you know, the full width and height of the puzzle in front of you when you've done it. And with all those pieces still at the top of the board, I was still getting in my own way a little bit. So I was unable really to put the edges together completely. So I had kind of half finished edges at the bottom, which really just kind of took up the minimal space I already had. So I think I could have shaved off a few minutes by not doing the edge first. So otherwise, I didn't really have any regrets with the way that I built this one. I was actually quite pleased with it and felt like I was making some progress with the full flip method. So with all these new lessons learned and with that all in mind, I moved on to the Summer Thunderstorm puzzle. Okay, so with this one, I got quite annoyed with myself because at one point during the build, my camera went off and I had to pause the timer to restart the camera, which I did. Unfortunately, I forgot to then restart the timer when I began building the puzzle again. I have worked out from my time-lapse footage that the amount of time that got missed out was about 10 minutes, but my final time on the timer was 1 hour and 19 minutes and 46 seconds. So that means that I honestly don't know if I would have managed to build this puzzle within a qualifying time. It may be that it was just under 10 minutes that I missed and I would have just about made it, or it could be that it might have been slightly over and I would have gone over the 90 minutes. So I don't know if I would realistically have finished the puzzle because it's a wee bit inaccurate working it out from that time-lapse footage. I was really kicking myself about that. But let's just assume that I did manage it in 1 hour and 29 minutes and 46 seconds. That would have meant if I'd have done this puzzle at Worlds, because this was the Group F puzzle, I would have qualified and come in around about 41st place within that group. Another Nature Edition puzzle, fairly difficult, a little bit trickier with it being a panorama as well, and a few people didn't finish that one as well. So I wasn't too upset or disappointed with that time. I just wish I could have not made that boo-boo with the timer. What really slowed me down with this puzzle was that patch of grass at the very bottom. I thought I made good progress with the sky and the lightning. I think I was right not to start with the edge. I also think the full flip method is a good method to use with puzzles that have obvious transition lines, like for example a horizon, where you've got, like in the Lupines puzzle and in this puzzle, you've got a gradient or a bright or like a sunset sky contrasted against a dark landscape. And I find those pieces with these obvious lines on really quite easy to pick out. They pop out at me. So I think that this puzzle did suit the full flip method, and I was in a flow with it. I really was. But then I hit the grass, and a wee bit of the psychology came into play, where I just saw all these pieces that all just looked the same. There was still a fair bit of the puzzle left to do, and even though I'd been doing well up to that point, I was getting a bit tired, and I was aware, you know, some time had passed and I still had this big section to do, and my brain started thinking, oh, you know, I've fluffed it here and I'm not going to be able to keep up the pace, and, you know, it's not going to go as well as I thought, and all these kind of doubts started creeping in. And then there was the fact that I was annoyed about the timer. By this point, you know, the timer debacle had happened, so I was annoyed about that, and that was kind of getting to me as well. So I think, you know, by that point I'd got a little bit sluggish and almost kind of in my brain given up a bit on trying to do it really, really fast. One other mistake I think I made with this puzzle though was that I separated the border pieces, which in and of itself was fine, but what I did was I shifted them out of the way once I'd finished flipping the puzzle, and I put them back in the box so that they were out of the way and I had space to build the puzzle, which seemed like a logical move and worked quite well, especially with it being a panorama and me needing more width. The problem with that though is that when it came to bringing them back in again, and I did bring them back in a little bit sooner, before I'd finished the full internal image, I brought them back in so that I could more easily put the grass pieces in, and I had a bit of a framework there. But then I had to basically grab them and dump them out onto the table, which then just kind of flipped them all over again. And I'd already spent time at the beginning flipping them over. So it was sort of like I was repeating a job, really. So I'm not so certain that putting them in a box to get them out of the way was perhaps a good idea. But I did bring them back in, and they helped me to fill in the rest of the puzzle, and then I got the rest done and all of that. So I didn't think it was too bad a time, but I wish I sort of knew whether or not I would have qualified for that one. Just the whole timer thing kind of messed that up a bit. And I think psychologically that affected me as well and slowed me down a little bit. But all of that aside, I was starting to feel more confident with the full flip method by this point. So now it was time to tackle the zebra puzzle, and at this point I felt like I maybe wanted to try sorting again. I didn't want to use all of the same method in one video. I wanted to change it up a little bit, and I also didn't want to do the full flip and realised that at the end I had all these zebra pieces, like with the summer thunderstorm I had all these dark grass pieces, and then go into this kind of psychological doubt process and panic. So, as I suspected, the difficulty with this puzzle came when I hit those zebras. It was another situation where I still had a big chunk of the puzzle to do, and I started to get that stuck in my head feeling, thinking, oh, there's still loads of pieces left, time's still ticking on, it's going to slow me right down, and then it has this kind of self-defeating effect on me. Stripes, I have to say, also send me a bit square-eyed. And even, you know, when I sorted by shape, because I was dealing with stripes, I didn't find it as easy to pick out the shape I needed because the stripes would kind of throw me off. So one of the things I think I need to do is to, you know, not admit defeat before I've even finished the puzzle, before I've even, you know, started to tackle a section that I assume is going to be difficult. I think I really need to try and fix out my thinking when I'm doing the speed puzzling and not let the psychology of it all kind of affect me in that way. And also one other thing that I noticed was that when the zebras were done and I had the whole puzzle done aside from the edge, I actually for a very split second forgot about the edge. They were there, just sitting there. I hadn't moved them off the board or anything like that, but I just kind of thought, oh, the zebra's done, the image is done, great. And then I was like, oh, I need to do the edge. So they sort of got a little bit forgotten because I'd left them till last. And I still had the image there in front of me, but just no edge on it. So I flung those in, and that took me a wee while longer, and ultimately I ended up finishing the puzzle in 1 hour, 28 minutes and 8 seconds, so very close to the 90-minute mark. But I did think this was quite a tough puzzle, so I wasn't too unhappy with it. So there we have it, some good lessons learned there. I think I've made a bit of a breakthrough with the full flip method and started to find ways to make it work for me. What I'd love to do next is now try some of the puzzles that I've done before using the full flip method. Puzzles that I've done by sorting but using the full flip on them. And I think if I pick out some of the older puzzles I've done a wee while ago that I mean, they will be familiar to me, but they aren't really fresh in my mind because it's been quite a long time since I've done them. I think now would be a good time to pull those out, try them for a second time. I'm thinking puzzles like Minu's Pond of Daydreams and Puffinry as well. Those kind of puzzles where I sorted. It'd be great to try those using full flip and see if I can improve on my times with those. I also need to be aware of not getting downhearted when, you know, I'm 3/4 of the way through the puzzle and I'm starting to feel that tiredness and that sort of hopelessness feeling coming in. I really need to make sure I don't allow that to affect me in the way that it was with these puzzles. It's definitely a factor that slows me down. And I think experimenting a bit with the edges as well. Like, I mean, I tried a couple of different things with this. One, I did the edges first. Another one, I did it last. Another one, I pulled the edges off the table and then put them back in again. I think it would be good to try maybe not separating the edges at all and just place them with whatever pile they go in. So whether it's, you know, if it's like a red piece of edge, put them in the red pile of pieces and just do the edges alongside all the other bits of the puzzle. I think that would maybe be a good thing to try as well, because I didn't do that with these 3 puzzles. And another thing I would like to do as well moving forward, because I do still have a few more speed puzzles to do, is focus a little more on, be a bit more mindful of how long it takes me to A, sort pieces if I decide to use the sorting method, and B, flip pieces if I decide to use the flipping method, and just see if I can practice speeding up a bit with that particular process of the speed puzzling. You know, time it, like keep an eye on the timer when I finish flipping a puzzle, see how long it takes. If I then do another one, see how long it takes, see if I'm getting faster with flipping and separating edges or not separating edges. And the same with sorting, you know, am I getting faster just with the sorting process on its own? It'd be good to keep an eye on the timer for those things and just be a bit more mindful of that as ways of trying to speed up a little bit as well. And that's it really. If you think there could be other things I might try to improve my speed and my times, do let me know in the comments. You know, pop something down there and suggest something that maybe I haven't thought of. Let me know what works for you. That'd be great to hear your thoughts on this. So I'm going to go shortly, but I am going to leave you with a little bit more speed puzzling footage of other speed puzzles I've done recently that I haven't shown you in this video or talked about, but that I have done, and I'll leave you with those so you can look at what my times were on those ones and how I did. Before I pop that on, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you're not subscribed to the channel. Maybe think about becoming a member of Vicky Makes and Builds. If you'd like to see any extra content from me, there's lots of extra content over on my members area. And thank you so much to all those members that already support me. I really do appreciate that. All the puzzles that I've mentioned in this video will be linked in the description below. They are Amazon associate links. So if you like any of the puzzles, you may be thinking about getting hold of some of them, and you buy your puzzles from Amazon, consider using those links because you will not pay any more for them, but I do earn a small commission from the sale of those. So I'll pop those in the description as well. And yeah, wish me luck for my online competition on Easter Sunday. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. I will of course let you know how it all goes, but wish me luck, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!